We are here to talk about the on-demand economy. So how did Intuit get into this space? We think this is the culmination of two very interesting economic trends. The first is a complete erosion of the safe, standard career job that existed in the past. If you look back 30 years ago, you had a social contract with your employer. You worked hard, you stuck with that employer, and you had a good shot of a retirement. Over 60% of people had a pension. But then the economy got wonky. There were layoffs. There were businesses realizing that they couldn't sustain these large workforces and certainly couldn't sustain big pensions. And fast forward to today, and less than 14% of workers have a pension. And if you're a new employee entering the workforce, you are likely to work for 12 to 15 different companies during your career. That is not stability. So what do? If you're a worker and you can't rely on your employer anymore, you have to look to yourself. You have to own your own career. And you look to companies like Winolo and Lyft, and you find different sources of differentiated income to be able to make up the income that you need to support yourself or your family. But this isn't a new trend. This is something that's been working over the past few decades. In 1989, 6% of the workforce was contingent workers, 1 out of 20. Today, it's 34%, or 1 out of 3. And we think that's rising to 40 or 50% in the next few years. This is a massive shift of employment, and we're seeing more and more people having to figure out a way to find multiple sources of income to provide for their families. The second trend that we see dovetails nicely into this, and this is the acceleration of technology helping supply and demand marketplaces reduce friction. Amazon, eBay, Etsy started this off. Uber, Airbnb, Hourly Nerd are the new marketplaces that, again, are reducing friction. What's so exciting for us is that they are actually impacting the #1 challenge that entrepreneurs and small businesses face. That challenge is, how do I find my next customer? That bar of finding your next customer and your next customer and your next customer in order to survive has been the bar that every entrepreneur has to jump over in order to keep their business going. But as friction is reduced, as these marketplaces come in and help you find that customer, take Hourly Nerd, where you can come in and, as an MBA, find the next business, completely disrupting the consulting industry, it changes the game. And every industry has the opportunity to be disrupted by this advance in technology. As that happens, we're going to find ourselves in a world where that bar has been lowered and more and more and more entrepreneurs can jump over it. But if this is going to be half of our population, we need to learn more about them, and we need to certainly understand them. We don't think to date there's been enough objective data out there, which is why we partnered with Emergent Research and 11 on-demand and talent marketplaces to be able to provide the data that you have available for you today. I want to hit on just 3 themes that we pulled out of the data. The first being, we see a real change in the mindset of that 40-hour work week. The vast majority of people in on-demand today are working for a single on-demand company part-time, but that doesn't mean they're part-time workers. It means they're figuring out how to create those different income streams to deliver a full-time income. We see in our own data that the average income from on-demand, the average number of sources, is 3 different sources of income in order to deliver that full-time employment. The next theme is a real thread of entrepreneurialism. 2/3 of people in on-demand are either starting a small business or in a small business today. This is amazing. It reminds me of a Lyft driver that I met a couple of months ago whose passion in life was to get his restaurant up and running. His passion was not to drive me around, but it didn't matter. He was so thankful for the opportunity to have a flexible source of income so that he could get his life's passion up and running. And that leads to the next theme, which is the complete satisfaction in on-demand. We saw 91% of people happy with the flexibility and the freedom that they have in order to be able to put together the life that they want. This is the future of entrepreneurs. It's people that are happy. It's counter to the narrative that we've seen about worker classification. And I think it's something that we need to understand as we really look into the motivations of these workers.